Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be working on, you guessed it, yet another Xbox Series X. So this one is a little bit different in the sense that it has been worked on by another technician, and he was doing some work to it and accidentally broke the Nexus connector and damaged some traces in the process. So he sent it over to me to try and repair. It should be fixable. Normally when the Nexus connector is broken and we've got damaged traces, it is a successful repair. So fingers crossed we can actually get this one working for the customer. But that being said, if you are new to the channel, my name's Dakota. I'm an electronics technician. I mainly work on games consoles, but I do work on other stuff as well. So be sure to get subscribed if that's the sort of stuff you're into, and turn the bell notifications, and that way you don't miss any future videos. If you do want to organise a repair, you can get in touch at www.dakota.repair. The code is spelled the same way as on YouTube, so just go to that website. You can either send me a message and get a quote, or you can book in a console and get it repaired, get it sent in for repair as well. If you need any parts and supplies for these, I do run an online store where I strip these down and I sell all of the parts from them. That includes both the larger parts like the power supplies, disk drives, cases, etc., or the smaller components such as the chips on the motherboard as well. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. This video probably still would have been here without today's sponsor, but hey, it's time to show something, right? So here goes. Here at Dakota Productions, we love nothing more than to take as much money from you, the viewer, as we possibly can, which is why we're proud to talk to you about consolefix.shop, a great place for you to spend your hard-earned cash. I mean, yeah, fair enough, you get parts and supplies that help you fix things, but you've got to give me some money in return. Nothing in life's free, and if you pay me for it, you might appreciate it more. Or not, hey, I'm not judging. With that being said, we do have some pretty cool stuff on the shelves, including power supplies, HDMI ports, charging chips, MOSFETs, and whatever else you can think of that'll give you the illusion that you're getting a good deal. So head on over to the online store by clicking on the link in the video description, and if there's one thing I can guarantee, is that there will be a way for me to take your money. Console Fix, your friendly money grabbing YouTuber. So like I do with every console, I always just try and pair it on just to see what's actually going on. This one, the description does say that it doesn't pair on, so yeah, we shouldn't be expecting too much here with this, but I do like to just see what I'm dealing with first just by pairing it on. So yep, we get no response from that, we get no response from that as well. Okay, and no response from the sync button obviously as well. I can feel the fan. So the fan is turned on, so there is power going to the console, and if I offer a disc up to this, I've got a feeling that it will probably attempt to turn on. So I'm going to try that. So I'll grab myself a test disc here. And maybe not, there's a disc stuck in there, so I can't even do that, but never mind, that's okay. So looking at the paperwork for this then, obviously I've got to cover up some of this because it's customer information. It says, I got this Series X cheap as the power button was not working. I looked inside and found traces of liquid inside the shell around the power button board. Upon removing the internals, I broke the Nexus connector. I attempted to replace it, but my lack of soldering skills resulted in possible trace damage to the board. Oh, okay, possible trace damage. Now I get no response from the front USB, sync button, or any other buttons. The power light stays on, so I assume I have shorted something on the board, or the front board has a short from the initial liquid damage. I've been a fan and subscriber for some years, and if anyone can fix it, you can. Well, I appreciate that, thank you. If you could provide a quote, I would be most grateful. I've obviously already provided a quote and stuff, so yeah, the customer's happy with that, and he's obviously sent it in for repair. So yeah, the Nexus connector, yes, it's technician damage, but I mean, they're made of butter, I'll be honest, you know, the connectors for these, and they do break quite often. So it's just one of those things, I suppose, but it is what it is. But yeah, it turns out around about 60% of the viewers who watch my channel are not subscribed. And by subscribing and liking the video and also commenting on the video, it does let me know that people enjoy the content and that they want to see more. So if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. Obviously YouTube kind of plateaued for a few months because of some personal issues and stuff, and I'm getting back on the grind. I am going to be putting out one unique video every single Friday, And I'm also going to be getting back to daily content again if I can. Look, it'll be, you know, there'll probably be at least 3 or 4 videos a week. But if I can, I'm going to try and get to daily content like I used to last year because, well, people enjoyed it when I was posting a video every day. And also, I'm going to be posting a lot of these videos as early release. So, no, they're not going to be behind a paywall. But if you're a supporter of the channel, so if you're a supporter on Twitch through the Twitch Prime subscription or a paid Twitch subscription, whatever it is, or if you're a Patreon supporter or if you're a channel member as well, you're going to get early access to the exclusive videos. So this, by exclusive I mean the stuff that I don't stream. This is all changes which I've been implementing or planning on implementing over the past few days. But for all channel supporters, so that's, you know, Twitch supporters, Patreon supporters and channel members, they're going to get early access to the videos. So on a Friday, when I post a unique video, one that hasn't been live streamed, then that will go out as early release. And if you're a Twitch supporter, you can just go onto Discord and get the link from Discord for it. You know, you can link your Twitch account to Discord and it'll automatically give you permission to view the channel. Or, you know, obviously there'll be a channel member post and a Patreon post as well. So they'll go out 1 week early on a Friday to Patreon, or well, as a exclusive, as a early release video, and then the week after. So I'll release a video on the Friday and I'll put one on early release, and then the week after I'll release that early release video to the public and put another one out, if that makes sense. So yeah. It's just something I'm going to be implementing. One thing I've noticed with this, I'm going to stop trying to shill at the minute, because one thing I've just noticed with this is it is caked in flux. I'm going to put some gloves on. I've just washed my hands, and yeah, I've got a OCD. I really do not like greasy things on my hands, so I'm going to put some gloves on. If there's one thing I hate, it's having something on my hands that I can feel. So like grease or oil, or I mean even dirt. If I can feel it, it makes me feel like I want to peel my freaking skin off. And yes, I know it's an OCD and all of that stuff. And you know, some people say I'm autistic. I probably am. My son is, and my son's been officially diagnosed with it. So yeah, I probably am autistic. But oh well, it is one of those things. I feel like I want to peel my face off when I get something on my hands, which is why you'll always see me with clean hands. My teeth might not be clean, but my hands certainly are. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to put some gloves on, and yeah, one thing I've just noticed is this connector here and this connector here, they are both caked in flux, so I'm going to have to try and clean those, but also that means that these connectors here are going to be caked in flux as well, so it's probably going to have a contact issue, to be honest. So I'll get this thing stripped down to what I need. So I'm not going to need to access the APU board, although I will, just not right now. I mainly need to access this Southbridge board so as I can basically work on these connectors. It might end up that I need to replace the connector again or something like that. I'm not sure. Let's just have a look at this Nexus board first though. I want to just give this a quick inspection. So these Nexus boards, they're really not going to be economically viable to actually fix them. If the Nexus board is liquid damage like the customer suspects, it's probably going to be easier to just replace the thing. So the problem with that is obviously it's going to cost the customer money, but if I had to fix the Nexus board, that's going to cost the customer money as well. I'm not seeing really any damage there. There is some damage to that connector though. Let's have a quick look at that under the microscope. So this board here, the reason I'm calling it a Nexus board and a Nexus connector is because that's Microsoft's code name for it, right? Sorry about the ashtray in view there. Never mind. So that's Microsoft's code name, and if we look on the board itself, if this is a V2 board, so if it's a V1 board, it'll say Nexus on it because that's what Microsoft called it on the schematic. I'm not sure why, you know, maybe someone's going to answer for it. Does Nexus mean anything to Microsoft? I don't know. But yeah, it's called Nexus. But I'm going to have a look at that under the microscope. I will take this board off as well because we do need to look at this board. So I'll fast forward through this boring bit of taking the screws out. But you can see, I mean, I've been messing with this for a couple of seconds and look at my hand already. You can see where the flux is all over it. So this board hasn't been cleaned, unfortunately. Whether we're able to clean it or whether it's too far gone because of the flux being there for so long, I don't really know. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to give it a visual inspection and find out. But anyway, I'll stop rambling on now. So, taking a look over here then, I mean, yeah, that connector is knackered. And the problem with that as well is the fact that the flux is just caked everywhere, and that is going to be causing contact issues. But that connector there is just not opening freely at all because of it. So yeah, there is a problem here. There is a big problem here. Obviously, you know, the customer's honest and they've said, look, I'm not good at soldering, etc. Not everyone is at the end of the day. Look, we can't expect everyone to be good at this. Some people think it looks easy and then they try it and they realise that it's not. It's not easy, and it is something that definitely requires practice. So, it is what it is, but hey ho. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this connector, this Nexus connector, and I'm going to try and clean up the pads. I'm going to try and restore this trace and get that sorted, but I'm also going to try and sort out this connector here without having to replace it, because if I have to replace it, then I have to charge for it, and that's obviously something that the customer doesn't want. So yeah, we'll see anyway. So I'll pop this over the edge of the table. So what I mean by that is when I'm working on a connector, I like to remove it from underneath the board. So I'll hover the board over the edge of the table and then I'll heat up from underneath. And by doing it that way, it prevents me from damaging the other connectors, such as the fan connector and the USB connector. And that's going to explain why the USBs and the sync button are not working, because they're on the one USB board, which connects to this bigger connector just here. That explains it, because of the flux. But yeah, that's obviously a bit of a mess. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is a mess. So obviously this all needs cleaning up. Hopefully we can get this going. Well, I'm going to start heating up from underneath. I'm at 440 degrees Celsius, and that's at 40% airflow on my Atten ST862D. Not sponsored, but they are absolutely fantastic. And you can see the flux starting to bubble up already. It's pretty coated. It's not great at all. Okay, so yeah, we do have some damaged pads here. I'll figure out exactly what's damaged in a second, but while that board is warm, as soon as that solder has solidified, I'm going to want to clean this up. And the way I'm going to do that is with IPA and a soft bristled brush. So I want to get some IPA on here and I want to soak this area completely to try and clean this up, so as there's no flux inside these other connectors. Obviously that connector that we've just taken off, we can't reuse that now. That's toast. That's already opening a lot easier. So hopefully we can salvage this part of the job and not have to replace it. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to charge as much as I possibly can. I'm not going to lie, I'm a business, I run a business at the end of the day, you want to make money. But I'd rather not cost the customer stupid amounts of money if it's unnecessary. Like, why replace this connector if it doesn't need it? If I can just do it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, which I'm doing anyway, to clean up the rest of the board, then why would I charge the customer an extra, £30 or whatever to replace the second connector? Alright, let's warm this up again. So you can see that isopropyl alcohol evaporating. Someone actually said to me the other day, though, I'm ruining boards by using so much IPA. No, it's not. I could literally run this board fully powered on with isopropyl alcohol, in a vat of isopropyl alcohol. It's 99.9% pure. It's 0.01% water. It's not going to hurt the board. Not in the slightest. The IPA would evaporate long before it ever caused any problem. I've always used 99.9%. And for that reason, it doesn't damage the board. Alright, there we go. So that's that. So that's all nice and clean. And you can see that we've got some scratches and stuff on this, but that's not going to be an issue. The scratches shouldn't cause us any problems. There's no, deep gouges and stuff in the board and things like that. We do have a damage trace here. That being said, that is just a ground point. So we should be okay there. We don't need to restore that trace. And the same with this one. This is 3 pins all connected together. So these 3 pins, it doesn't matter if these end up bridged. And it doesn't matter if this middle one ends up missing as well. I mean, that's not bridged now. But it doesn't matter if that ends up missing or something like that. Because they're all connected together. So I can literally just break that away. And I don't need to restore any traces there. What I am going to do is I'm going to grab a donor board and just double check and make sure we don't have any missing components here. Because I'm pretty sure that we're meant to have a couple of capacitors here. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to grab a donor. Just like that. A donor board. So in terms of these particular boards, this is a V2 board. It doesn't matter if the donor board is a V2 or a V1 because the connectors are all the same, the circuit's the same. So all very similar. So you can see the capacitors are in a different place and there's one extra capacitor on the V2 board, but that's fine. It looks like we don't have any missing components there, so all we're going to need to do is just replace that connector, and I can do that with this donor connector that I've got here. So again, same process. I'm going to heat up from underneath the board and I'm going to remove this connector. I am going to remove this second connector just in case I need it. I might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm just going to heat this up from underneath, same way as I just removed the other one. And this is lead-free solder, by the way, so this is how it would be from factory. I'm going to remove that connector, get it out of the way for a minute, and then I'm going to come across to this one. I'll sell all of these connectors on my store. The connectors I sell on the store for the Nexus connector, they're brand new. These ones are going to be donor connectors, obviously, but the Nexus connectors, they're brand new. But there we go, so there's the USB connector as well. So that's those there. So the USB connector I don't need for now, or at least I shouldn't need, as long as I can get the current connector working, which I should be able to. Just going to visually inspect that, and that looks absolutely fine. None of the pins are damaged. All of the pins are lined up, so I can use that connector. But before I do, I'm going to have to clean this up. So I'm going to have to put some fresh leaded solder on this. So I'll just add some Kingbo flux. Available on consolefix.shop, of course. And notice how I'm not using a lot of flux at all here. I'm really not. You don't want much flux. You're working with a connector, and trust me, flux is like water. If there's a gap, it will find its way in, okay? You don't want to use too much flux for these connectors because you're just going to end up with the same situation like we've just had, where it's going to obviously, cause an issue with the connectors not making a contact with the ribbons, or the ribbons not making a contact with the connectors rather. Okay, I'm not sure what kind of solder that was, but it definitely wasn't Kester leaded solder that you can buy from consolefix.shop. Alright, I'll stop shilling now. Seriously though, buy your parts from consolefix.shop. And your solder. And your flux. Alright. So there's those. So the Nexus connector for the power button and stuff, it really doesn't need a lot of connections. You've got obviously, a couple of data lines to signal when it's pressing the button more than once and stuff, but mainly it's just, a power rail which gets pulled down to ground when the pins are shorted across when the power button's pressed. There's really not a lot to it. But that being said, we don't want any flux getting in this connector, so I'm going to use a minimal amount of flux. So what I'm going to do, this flux I've just put on here, I'm going to remove some of it using a cotton swab, because we really don't need a lot. We just need a dabble of flux like that, just enough to make sure that the solder doesn't oxidize. I'm going to grab this connector that I've just removed from the board. Get it roughly in line, doesn't have to be perfect. And trust me, surface tension is going to pull that in, even though it's off center. Surface tension is going to be your best friend here. But exactly the same way as I removed it, I'm just going to go for 440 degrees Celsius, 40% airflow, and I'm heating up from underneath the board. So if you look just here, my hot air's there, right on the edge of the board, and that's going to flow down nicely in a minute. Give it a few gentle taps, just to make sure we get a contact with the solder. Make sure that the pins contact the solder and that it's enough to actually transfer a little bit of the solder onto the pin. And then we're just going to let that cool just for a few seconds. We want the board warm because when the board's warm, it'll clean the flux up really, really well. I could use the ultrasonic cleaner, but there's no point. Not for this. Okay. I'll flood that in IPA now. Just make sure that it's all nice and clean. Inside the connector as well if I can. Without damaging the pins, of course. And now I'm going to just visually inspect inside these connectors. They look like there's no flux left in there. There's IPA in there, but that'll evaporate, it's fine. Just want to make sure that we get a nice clean area. That looks okay to me. Let's just make sure we've got no damage here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We might be in trouble. I hope that's flux. That might be popcorned. And that will be down to the previous repair. That is not down to mine. Okay, we do have a lot of knocked components here, actually. Right, let me just have a quick clean up on this area just to inspect it closer. This could be trouble. And there are ways I can still fix it even if this board is completely damaged, by the way. We do have options available. But let's just see what the deal is here first. I should have checked this first. So we do have a bunch of missing components here, which is not good, obviously. There's a few knocked components as well. That's obviously a problem. I don't think it's popcorned. Although it doesn't look great. So popcorning is basically, the boards are made up of multiple layers, and the board itself, that's basically, you know, when it popcorns, it means that the layer has separated from the substrate underneath. Now that wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that we've got vires all over the board, and when the layer delaminates and comes up, it breaks the via, and it also causes internal shorting as well. So that could be an issue if that's happened. I don't think it has. It looks like it was just flux. Now the other problem we've got is obviously we've got a bunch of components missing here. Now for this one I do need a V1 board because the components are completely different on this side. So I'm going to grab a V1 board for that. And yeah, so you can see we've got a bunch of components here which are meant to be there. So I'm just going to work out quickly what needs doing here. So we've got these two caps. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, but that one is there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 11 damaged components here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. So first of all, this component is missing on my donor board. that's come off while it's been in storage, so that's fine. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to put that component back. So there's a capacitor just here, and that is actually soldered partially to that contact, so I'm going to resolder that. So that one there is now present and correct. The problem I've got is, number one, I don't know where these capacitors are meant to go. Sorry, these resistors. So I don't know what resistors are meant to be there. I don't know whether they're correct or whether they've been pushed around and stuff like that. And the same for these ones up here. I don't know whether they're correct, right? So even though we've got C338 and C330 there, I don't know if they've been adjusted. I don't have a clue. You know, I don't know if they've been moved around and stuff. So I've basically just blanket wiped that area. Or not blanket wiped it. I've wiped it as much as I can, or as much as I need to. But I'm just going to re-tin all of this area, and I'm just going to grab all of the components from a donor board because it's just easier. Yes, I could look at the schematic and find out which components need to go where and put new components on, but it's just easier and quicker for me to just grab the components from a donor board and just do it all at the same time without having to hunt for different components. So I'm just going to tin all of this just like that, and then that's ready to accept some new components. So I'll grab my hot air gun, and just off camera I'm going to just grab all of the components one by one. I won't do it under the microscope to grab them, but I will just obviously, you know, put them back onto this board under the microscope. So you will see me put them back on. It's just easier than having to, you know, keep transferring boards over and burning my hand and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll pull these components off one by one and just basically restore this circuit. So this board is probably going to bounce up and down as well because of the awkward angle that these boards sit at. But I'll do my best to keep it in focus. Alright, so I've just restored all of those components. I'm going to go over them all with the iron just to make sure that we've got some nice solder joints on everything. There is not meant to be a resistor on R10 according to my donor board, but I'm just going to go over everything with the iron. We've got a random solder blob there. I'll take care of that. I'll just go over everything with the iron and just make sure that everything's all good. Not going to be able to get to that with the iron I'm using, so I'll get rid of that. There we go. But yeah, just run across everything, make sure that the solder joints are all nice. You know, we're not going to have any issues. And I know that the soldering is going to be absolutely fine. So you can see that we've got some oxidation on some of these components. So obviously this isn't absolutely necessary, but we want to make sure we get nice fresh solder joints just to eliminate that possibility of having a, you know, cracked solder joint or a oxidized joint causing issues going forward. Even if not, you know, not today, maybe sometime in the future. And yep, that I think is going to be acceptable once I've cleaned it all up. So to clean it up, I'm just going to heat everything up basically and just make sure that the flux is melted, because that's going to make it easier to clean. But you can just see the difference already. You know, even with the flux there, you can see the difference in the solder joints. They are, you know, miles better. Miles better. Alright, while I'm still cleaning, I'm just going to give this another scrub just for good measure. There we go. Yeah, I am happy with how that's turned out. So if we take a look at this, how it looked before and then how it looks now, it's a world apart. A little bit of a blob on that solder joint, but whatever. It's fine. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Much better solder joints. Same as this side. Very visible improvements in the quality of the joints. I didn't actually check these joints to make sure that these pins are soldered, so let's do that now quickly. So we've got that one. It's good. Good. Oh. Right, I'll check continuity on that in a second. Some of these traces are damaged. That one's not connected, but that's just ground. And yeah, these are visibly damaged, but okay, yeah, they are connected. I can see the trace itself moving. It's just the fact that the trace is actually lifted. So the pin itself is connected to the trace. So that's fine. It should be okay. Onto the Nexus board now. Okay, so we do have some signs of flux and stuff there. Ah, okay, yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't have parts available for these Nexus boards. The only Nexus boards I've got are fully working ones. Yeah, that is physically damaged. That's a problem. That's a big problem. So we've got some signs of, well, not only liquid damage, but also flux as well. But we've also got some visible signs of damage in the sense that there's components missing. What about on this side? There's not much on this side. I think it's just the here. Ah, yeah. Okay, so that is going to need replacing. I can't justifiably work on that for the cost of it. Filters are broken, capacitors are burnt, components missing, corrosion. Yeah, it's a case of replace, not fix. So in terms of the Nexus ribbon itself, I mean, that is slightly damaged, but it will probably work if I clean it, if I'm able to clean it. So let's give that a try. So the problem here, the main problem, if I just get that in focus for you guys, the main problem here is the fact that we've got flux on it. It's not that it's damaged or anything. I mean, there are a few bends in the pins and stuff like that, but the main issue we've got here is the fact that it's got flux on it. If I can get away with not replacing this, then obviously I will, because that's going to save the customer a little bit of money. But if it's a case where I put this back together and it doesn't work, or if I put this Nexus board in and it doesn't work, because we can test it outside the housing. Okay, so we do have a little bit of damage to that one pin, so it could be a case where we need to replace this ribbon as well. But if we put this together and it doesn't work, then obviously I'll replace it. If it does work, then great. Yeah, there's damage to that side as well. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, so my advice here is just to be more careful to the customer when they're taking it apart and stuff. And I will show on video how to actually get these Nexus ribbons out without damaging them. There's a slight damage to that one. as long as it goes in and makes a contact on every pin, it's fine. What about here? Okay, that's physically damaged, so that's going to cause an issue. I need to try and pop that back into position. I know this is out of focus, it keeps going in and out because of the, you know, pressing down on it and stuff. But I need to try and get this physically back into the correct position so that it doesn't short out on the other pin. Hopefully that's enough. I don't want to cause the customer to spend money they don't have to. But there's that. So when you're reconnecting these, if I just grab a replacement for these, and maybe not, I don't have any in stock. That sucks. I'm going to have to fix this one. I do have a liquid damage one there, which I can use to replace the components though. So I'm going to have to repair this one, unfortunately. So here's the customer's board, and I've got a donor board just here. So this one is damaged as well. This is corroded and liquid damaged, and the Nexus connectors knackered and stuff like that. But yeah, we should be okay. I should be able to salvage some parts off this.
I barely was walking. I've been trying harder all my life, cause I need to be perfect. If I could just be a little better, maybe you could be my salvation out of here. I can get it off, we are never done. I'm Julian, baby, you are like the sun. Pour out your love, fill me to the top. Let me hear that champagne burst and pop. Cause as long as you are here with me, I'll be living long and wild and free. I can get it off, fill me to the top. Let me hear that champagne burst and pop. I just give 200% every day cause I own it. I'm fighting all of my life, I'm bad and I know it. If I could just be a little better, maybe you could be my salvation out of here. Ooh, I can get it off, we are never done. I'm Julian, baby, you are like the sun. Pour out your love, fill me to the top. Let me hear that champagne burst and pop. Cause as long as you are here with me, I'll be living long and wild and free. I can get it off, fill me to the top. Let me hear that champagne burst and pop. Summer days, they will be over soon. Nothing else could get me and you. Let's just sleep beneath the big blue moon. Yeah, yeah. Summer days, they will be over soon. Nothing else could be like me and you. Let's just stay beneath the big blue moon. Yeah, yeah. I can get it off, we are never done. I'm Julian, baby, you are like the sun. Pour out your love, fill me to the top. Let me hear that champagne burst and pop. Cause as long as you are here with me, I'll be living long and wild and free. I can get it off, fill me to the top. Let me hear that champagne burst and pop. Cause as long as you are here with me, I'll be living long and wild and free. I can get it off, fill me to the top. Let me hear that champagne burst and pop.
There we go. That's it. Good enough. Perfect. Whoops, you can't even see. Oh, I suck at streaming. Well, I'm not even streaming. I suck at filming videos for YouTube. I'm a shitty YouTuber. What can I say? Alright, there we go. And that is one, hopefully, fully repaired board. So that's the one that we've just repaired. As you can see, it's nice and clean now. And we should be good to go. I hope. So, in terms of this ribbon then, Again, I'm just going to try and clean it and hope that it actually cleans up. So a little bit of heat, some IPA on the toothbrush, and just give it a clean. There we go. The Nexus ribbon goes upside down on this side. There we go. That actually goes in really, really nicely. Okay, it goes in okay there as well. So the first thing I want to test here is just, does this turn on? And if it does turn on, does it, number one, make a noise when I press the eject button, and number two, does it light up the LED? So that's what I need to know on this. So we'll test that first before I test the USB functionality. Obviously, I'll just partially reassemble it inside the housing. I'm not going to reassemble it fully because I do need to put fresh thermal paste on and everything. So, yeah, I need to do that. But, yeah, let's just test that. Power button. Ah. Oh. It's beep on, beep off. Ah. Right, so is that beep on, beep off because of that Nexus ribbon? That's the question we need to ask. So let me grab a replacement. So just in case we've got something short. No, it's not working. Let's try one of these, well, scrap Nexus boards. Obviously, if I have to replace the Nexus board, then it is what it is. No, it's beep on, beep off. Oh, shit. Damn it. You could have freaking told me I'd forgot to connect the ribbon up. What's the point in you being here if you don't even tell me when I make a mistake? Anyway. Alright, let's try that other Nexus ribbon back on here. So yeah, I do have Nexus ribbons for these, but obviously I don't want to replace it if I don't have to, because I don't want to cost the customer extra money. Can't believe I just did that. Not the first time though, by the way. Certainly won't be the last. Yes, that's better. Shut up, computer. That's better. That's working. So obviously the LED is staying on now. This console is staying on. And we do get a beep from the disk drive as well. So now what we need to do is we need to test this front USB and just see if we get in power to that. So looking at this front USB then, it doesn't look like this is going to have been affected. So we should be okay there. So let's just connect this up. There we are. So question number one, do we get, well, I need the front boarding for a start. Question number one, do we get sync? I might need to reset it. Right, let's just allow that to boot up. I'm going to plug in a HDMI. Yes, it does sync on there. That is good. So question number two then, does it sync a controller through that front USB? So I've got my controller here. This is not synced to this Xbox, as you'll see there. And that's not going to work, is it? Because that's a USB Type C. Alright, let's convert it. So I've got a Type A to Type C here. There we are. And no. yes, they only work one way because of the way the USB's configured and stuff. That's working. And the next question is, does it stay synced? And it does. So let's just press the sync button now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's resyncing and everything's working. And it's also displaying. There we go. We've got it working. Everything seems to be fine. Obviously, I still need to give it more tests and stuff, but the issues that it's come in for seem to be fixed. The controllers are syncing, the front USB is working, the sync button's working, the power button's working, and the LED's working. So that means that this Nexus board has been rebuilt, and obviously the ribbons and stuff are fine. I don't need to replace those. I don't need to replace the front USB board, and obviously I'll just be billing for pretty much just my time, and obviously the connector repair as well. Full disclosure, I'll be charging £60 for the, £50 for the Nexus connector, and then another £30 on top for the rest of the work, so all of the cleanup and the rebuild and stuff. So this will be an £80 repair. I believe I quoted the customer up to £100 for this, so the customer, I'm sure, will be happy with the lower charge. You know, it's not quite as high as they expected it to be. Obviously, I've got a bill for my time. I mean, I've been recording this video for 1 hour and 48 minutes. And obviously, you know, I generally work on around about £50 to £60 an hour, depending on what I'm actually doing and how much the parts cost and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll do it a bit cheaper if the parts are expensive, just to keep the cost down for the customer. But yeah, hour and 50 minutes. Don't know why I'm looking at that. I haven't got a watch. I have got a watch, I just haven't got it on. But yeah, hour and 50 minutes. I'll be charging £80 for this repair, and that includes obviously the liquid damage repair and the Nexus connector replacement. That's including the customer's damage that they did to it as well. Obviously, you know, they've knocked a bunch of components. They've also damaged the Nexus board when they've taken that out, and on top of that we had liquid damage on the Nexus board as well. So yeah, I think it's a fair price. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications, and if you do need any parts and supplies, you can get them from our website, consolefix.shop. You can also book in a repair at www.thecoder.repair. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to check out the support links in the video description. Like I said, the videos are going to be going out early to supporters. So they will be made public. They won't be behind a paywall. They'll just be temporarily available to members first as a way of saying thank you. And I do want to say a big thank you to all of my supporters. I really do appreciate it. And to all of the viewers as well. I appreciate you guys as well. Just not as much as the people that give me money. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.